Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for clicking on our Monday Movie Club live stream where we're going to be talking about Finding Nemo tonight. So far, it's just me in the chat, but hopefully a few more people will be coming on to chat as we can facilitate our discussion about Finding Nemo coming up. Thank you so much again for clicking on this video and being a part of our discussion. Just wanting to welcome everybody here as we continue our live discussion. If you're watching this with us and not participating in live chat, feel free to take part in our discussion in your homes, or feel free to leave comments in the comment section down below with your answers to any of the questions that pique your interest. If you're watching this at a future date, we'd also love to hear your thoughts and feelings about what is happening and the insight that is going on here in the community. Thank you so much for taking part tonight and being a part of our community. Sorry, just getting myself situated here. Just a reminder for those who are new to Movie Club, we watch a movie every week as a community and come on to do a live discussion based on the themes of that film. So we have a few guidelines for Movie Club. First is to share about Movie Club using our hashtag Monday Movie Club. Let your friends and family know what movies we're watching and taking part in, as well as just sharing your insights and your favorite moments throughout our time together. Participate, either participating in the home discussions that come with the questions with each film every week that we post on social media, so Instagram and our Facebook page, or just being part of our live streams by being part of the chat or other aspects of this, as well as to continue to be kind and loving to one another as we continue to talk about faith and film in our own context and what it means for us. Thank you so much for being a part of this today. I'm just going to be moving along to our thing. So first, I always open up by asking, what snack did we all have during our movie time? This week, I took a chance and decided to follow what most of us at Movie Club have been doing, which is dinner and a movie. So I actually had dinner with my movie this week. So let others know, what was your favorite snacks? Or feel free in the comments below, put down what is your favorite snack that you like to have for your movie time. As we move along here, just kind of opening up our discussion tonight about the characters of the film. There are many different characters that I quite enjoyed in the film. And this time I wanted to talk about which fish in the dentist's fish tank would be you and why. So there are many different personalities. We have the, just trying to remember, the starfish, who was pink. We had Gil, who always wanted to escape, the black and white angelfish. We had the yellowfish, who was obsessed with his chest of bubbles. We had the shrimp, who was in charge of cleaning everything out. The purple fish, who was a bit of a germaphobe. We had the pufferfish, who is voiced by, I forget his name. And then we also had the bluefish, who tended to have a sister who was just her reflection in the tank. Myself, for me, I would say I most relate to the pink fish, just the pink starfish on the tank. Just always, I like what my family has kind of deemed as people watching in malls and parks, where I kind of just observe a lot of life. So I tend to be that person who's a lot about observation and looking into what life has in store. So Vesper, thanks for joining us. The purple and yellow anxious fish, absolutely. Not a germaphobe, that's okay, but he is quite an anxious guy. That's quite the thing. My favorite in the tank is the blue fish who has the reflection sister. I just like, I like the conversations she has with her reflection, and I just find her very humorous to watch. She's one of my favorites in the tank. But yeah, thanks so much for reeling that in, Amy. Appreciate that. The yellow fish in the tank with the bubbles is also very hilarious. I do appreciate that as well. Our next question is, why were Marlin and Nemo arguing? So at the beginning of the movie, we see kind of this tension between father and son. And so my question would be, why ultimately was Marlin and Nemo arguing? So I'm just going to read some of the comments. Amy, Nemo was feeling smothered by his dad, and his dad was feeling disrespected. Absolutely. I think definitely some miscommunication between the two of them totally took place. Uh, I think also just, I think a lot of our youth can, and us and more adults can relate to this, that there's a desire when we've hit adolescence or that teenage phase of wanting kind of independence and more responsibility and wanting to be a part of who we are. Um, and so when we hit that kind of misunderstanding of this need for independence and responsibility, but also being children and requiring still a parent to care for us and take care for us, tensions and conflicts can arise from that conflict. So, um, Vesper says that misunderstood each other, and that's what it's like to be a father or a son. Absolutely. I think just even children and parents, even so, Vesper, this is just a kind of, I really appreciated this in the movie, that it was kind of a really natural and very common expression of what a relationship between a parent and a child can be like as a child is growing up into becoming more responsible, and the difficulties as a parent to let go of those things. Or even to establish those new boundaries as we safely provide ways for our younger generation of leaders who are growing up to experience new responsibilities and new freedoms without smothering, without, but also without just throwing them in the big deep blue where they can put themselves at risk, like what happened with Nemo in touching the boat. Um, and so there is a happy medium between both of them where there is a way for parents and teens. I really look at Nemo kind of as like a young teen, as a junior high teenager, where discovering kind of this new freedom and wanting to seek an identity past what was his his lucky fin, um, and separate from his dad. There are safe ways to express those kind of freedoms and things. And so, great insights from our community here. Thanks, guys. So my next question is, why do you think that the story of Marlin coming to rescue Nemo traveled so quickly? So when we get about midway through the movie, he's in, on the current with, the turtles, Crush and his family, and he starts telling the story of all his adventures trying to get his son back. And we see it traveling so quickly throughout various different species, various different, areas. Like birds share it, dolphins share it, fish share it, all this other stuff. And it finally reaches Nigel, the pelican, is one of my favorite characters in the film, and then hits to, and then he ultimately knows where Nemo is and is able to get the news to him. But why do you think that story was so powerful, or so? Why do you think it traveled so quickly? And for those who may be new for our discussions, I allow just a brief pause between our questions for those who may be watching this at home and not participating in the live chat, for those who are participating in the live chat to be able to give an opportunity to type their answers, as well as those who may be watching at a previous date that you can discuss these things at home. So it's all very well to just give that space for us to have open discussion. I allow for kind of some more silent space in between the questions. Let me just read what's happening in chat right now. Uh, I, Amy, I think it traveled so quickly because it was inspiring. Everyone wants a dad like that. Absolutely. There's something about having someone, a parent, or really anyone, fight for you or your cause, or being kind of the champion in your corner, right? Someone who wants to reach you or defend you or be a part of you. Um, and so that seems to be definitely one thing that's very exciting about the story is it's inspiring. I love that word. It's a great word, Amy. Thank you. Um, I also just think like I've been experiencing this even with our own media surrounding all the things that are happening within our worlds, and especially with the shutdown and with COVID and the injustices we keep hearing about, and just all these things. Um, Good news has a way of bringing people together. You know, there was this Marlin rescuing Nemo was kind of a good news story for the day, something that people hoped would have hope in or look forward to or find joy in. And I feel like those types of good news stories do kind of travel faster, even within our own context, even within our own media, especially when we're in seasons of more uh, downer isn't the right word, but more kind of negative or less inspiring, or um, even in some cases, fear or saddened news. So I think for myself too, thinking about it, it was kind of a joyous or happy moment. And so I think that's why everyone wanted to share it, because it was this really kind of good news thing. But I really like that idea of the story being inspiring. So, kind of as my final question before I go to my final thought for the night, which is a little bit deeper of a Bible study, uh, is how does God view those who are lost? You know, for us as Christians, we can get a lot of parallels to um, a father losing his son and seeking after his son, with how God views people as lost and seeks after us and desires us to be reconnected with him. And so, how does God view those who are lost? Let me give you an opportunity to discuss that. Let me just share a bit of what's happening here. He wants them to find themselves, Vesper says. Thank you, Vesper, for sharing that. Um, a great opportunity, yeah, to God views the lost as those who are able to find and seek after God as well. You know, there's a joy that comes from just uh, finding yourself and being a part of that. Absolutely. Uh, Amy, he loves the lost and wants to bring them back to himself. The parable of the 99 sheep. Yes, it's a very familiar parable to many of us who know the Gospels well, that Jesus taught. Absolutely. Um, that's great. As people who need more attention or more help. Thanks, Commander V, for jumping on. Yeah, absolutely. The lost, when we think about the lost in regards to a Christian context, um, we usually tend to think of those who are spiritually lost, not necessarily someone who is physically lost like Nemo was with Marlin, and taken somewhere else, but we tend to think of the spiritually lost, those who do not know God in a way that He desires us to know Him, which is personally and relationally and just an aspect of a priority in their lives. Um, and I'm glad, Amy, that you brought up the 99 sheep parable, because that's where my kind of my thought attached to this idea comes from, is these three parables that we find, which are basically narrative stories that Jesus uses in the Gospels, in the Bible, to teach various truths about God or the kingdom of heaven or things about uh, spiritual aspects or things that have to do with eternity. And so these three parables are found in Luke chapter 15, and they are the parable of the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the lost son. And all of these parables all relate to something being lost and someone seeking after those things. So, in instance, with the lost coin, we had a woman who searched her whole entire house to look for this one silver coin. Um, with the lost sheep, we had a shepherd who had 100 sheep. He left 99 of them and came to find the final one uh, in a field somewhere, but left his 99 to find the one. And with the lost son, we had a son who left his father, um, got into a really bad situation, and eventually, in a way like what you said, Vesper, returned back, found himself back in his father's arms and things. Uh, so I wanted to kind of dive into that idea of what God views as lost and what is we as God's children, God's disciples, followers of Jesus, should be doing to aid the lost. Um, Tammy, people who are lost are given the opportunity to be able to draw closer to God. God views those who are lost as hopeful children. What a great idea, Tammy. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, just a really opportunity there. So Jesus teaches about the lost, and for those who are familiar or were at our Doxa retreat back in February, I talked a little bit about the qualities of lost people that Jesus teaches about within these three parables. First concept is that someone is lost. Something is lost. We can't look at our world, which is very broken, and we've seen that, and most of us have experienced that brokenness. And God says that this isn't the way it's supposed to be, that there are people lost from the way of His Word. And so it's important for us to remember that something or someone is lost. Someone's missing from this family. If we're all children of God as hopeful children, there are people not in the picture right now. The second kind of value, the concept that I draw from these parables is that the lost have value. This woman who lost a coin took apart her whole house to look for a coin. And I think we've all kind of been in that situation where something valuable is lost, like a set of keys or homework or a favorite toy or gadget or the remote for the TV or something very valuable in that moment is lost. And so we stop at everything to look for it. For a shepherd, a sheep was their livelihood. You lost a sheep, you weren't a good shepherd. And so he also risks his livelihood, the 99, to find this one lost one, which means that one had great value. And the son has great value to his father, similar to Marlin and Nemo. Marlin saw the value in his son and went across the ocean to go find him. And so that's important for us to remember, is that who is lost has great value, is worth a lot. a second concept is the idea of recovering the lost is a high priority. You know, each of these parables, especially in the coin and the shepherd, the woman who lost the coin stopped everything she was doing to be finding that coin, to start finding the coin. The shepherd left his 99 to find the sheep, and all those other things. And recovering the loss, my final thing, is that recovering the loss brings great joy. Um, Finding in each of these three parables, finding the lost coin, finding lost sheep, and the son returning, has great joy. All three of these people, the father, the shepherd, and the woman, stop and tell people to rejoice. There's this great party when the son returns. You know, like there's a joy when you find something that's been lost. And so similar to Nemo and Marlin, you know, when they found Nemo, there was this great joy attached to it. There was this great hope attached to it. And though they were upset that it all happened, like none of that mattered anymore. All that mattered is that Nemo was found and they could go home. And so when I view this lost, I view this idea of this great value. And so the verse I wanted to express today was this, whereas I tell you that in the same way that there will be more rejoicing in heaven. I really need to get someone to proofread these before I send them to you guys. I tell you that there is the same way will be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who do not need to repent. And what I wanted to encourage all of us today is that we are all lost. We have all been lost in the sight of God. And it was in those moments when we recognized that we needed to repent, that we were making decisions that separated us from what God's desire for us was to be in full connection and full relationship with Him. We were lost. And the moment that we came back to God and we were found, like when Nemo and Marlin are reconciled, when the shepherd finds the sheep, when the woman finds her coin, when the son returns home to his father in Luke 15, there's this great rejoicing. And so we are all lost and in all need of repentance. But we also, because we repent, which means not just say sorry for our brokenness or for making the choices that separate us from God, but also make a commitment not to make those choices again. Repentance is literally doing a 180 or turning our back on those things. That there is great joy over that. And so all of us are in that situation where we have been lost. And maybe you're watching this today and you are maybe hearing this for the first time, but know that there's a way to be found again. And when we are found, there is great rejoicing in heaven over it. As much as God desires this relationship like a father and a son, like Marlin with Nemo, right? Where in the end of the movie, they go back to school, and even though there's still kind of this tension of Marlin wanting to hold on tight to his kid and Nemo wanting to explore more, there's this respect found, this new connection found, this new just relationship founded on knowing that the relationship they have is a priority and has great value. And so I just wanted to encourage us that if we're feeling lost today, there is a way to feel found. There's a way to be found, not just feel found. And for some of us who have experienced this relationship, our goal as followers of Christ is to seek after the lost. We are now given the responsibility and the joy of seeking after the coin that we've lost in our house. We are the shepherds that go after the one lost sheep. We are the fathers sitting on our porches waiting for sons to come home. And we must have great joy over these things and make it a priority in our lives to see these things come true. And so that's what I kind of wanted to end our tonight with, is that this question on what are we doing to help those in our lives that we either recognize are lost, or if we see ourselves in the eyes of the lost, have we repented and received that joyous reconnection again? So that's where I wanted to leave our thoughts up today. I think Finding Nemo has a lot of different messages that we can draw on, but I loved the parallels in this film to these parables that Jesus taught thousands of years ago. It was just an incredible moment to see that kind of theming in a very successful, some say classic film. So it was really, really great to be able to draw on those points with you. Thank you so much for everyone who joined us in chat. Those who may have came in late, we don't mind. You're here. Those who are watching this at a previous night, feel free to leave down in the comments your thoughts and insights from our discussion tonight and being a part of that. We always like the building of community, even if especially with the good weather out and people going away. I know this week is Canada Day, as we are situated in Canada, and so a lot of people are taking time to be with their families and things along those lines in these days. And so we really appreciate if you do come on and be a part of what we've been talking about and what we've been doing. So thanks so much, everybody, for coming on tonight and being a part of this discussion, and even just continuing this in your homes. So as I wrap up this for tonight, I have two announcements. A few weeks ago, I want to say about a month ago, we had my friend Paula in the live chat, and we brought up her new ministry initiative. She's a fellow youth worker with me at Toronto Youth for Christ, Youth Unlimited, and she started an initiative with a few others in my team of organizations here in Toronto based, called Bless Up, which is a text-based encouragement and hope-filled ministry for those who are seeking some support or just encouraging text messages, especially during this time of social distancing. Now, as things reopen and people are starting to open their doors and finding more connections, there are still a few people who require this need, and maybe that's you. I just wanted to encourage you that their first month has been very successful, but they are always welcoming more and more people into their community. So if you are interested in receiving intermediate texts throughout your week that are sent to encourage you, to uplift you in your week, and just be a contact point of knowing that people are supporting you or praying for you or being a part of that, just feel free. I'm going to type it in chat right now to email blessup@yugta.ca. That will get you directly to their ministry team and get you directly on the list. They'll probably send you a link to their form and be a part of that today. As a final announcement, as I talked about last week, we are going to be taking a hiatus for the summer. So after today, we will have 2 more Movie Club live streams. So we will have a live stream on the 6th of July, so next Monday, and the 13th of July, the Monday after that. After that, we're going to be taking a break. As we can see, a lot of us are away, enjoying the summers, enjoying our time with family, especially now with things reopening. And so I just wanted to honor this time of families reconnecting and spending some time away from their screens now that weather is becoming a little bit better. But in light of that, we wanted to take some time here with Monday Movie Club to really get your feedback and get your insights. I'm a type of person who really enjoys collaboration and really enjoys being a part of a community that is not scared or shy to share their suggestions and insights and just encouragements through the whole process. And you as a community have been great at participating in the live chats, at following us on social media, at being a part of this. And so I really wanted to reach out to you before planning anything for when we bring this back, potentially in the fall, about what you've experienced and how would this ministry of Monday Movie Club best benefit you as a young person, you as a parent, as a youth leader, as a family unit? We would really like to hear your thoughts. Just letting you know, it's not goodbye. We are hoping to pick this up in the fall, but we know with potentially schools reopening and things along those lines, will it be weekly? Will it be every other week? This is the season in which we can tweak things. So I'm going to be putting in chat right now a link to a form that I've put together, which is a basic feedback form. So parents can fill this out, youth can fill this out, young adults, youth leaders, basically anybody who participates in Movie Club, we would love to hear from you. There's a section in there for any suggestions of movies that you would like us to watch and maybe do a discussion on. So please feel free to leave your suggestions and recommendations there, as well as any other insights or things you have for me moving forward, because I really want this to be a service to you, not just an opportunity for me to be on the internet, but more likely, I love to serve you guys, you in the chat, you who are watching this at home. I just really want this to be something that is beneficial to you. And so please let me know your thoughts, your honest thoughts. And I would really appreciate anything that would help me as I take time with God to discern what the next steps would be. So thanks very much for being a part of that form. With all that out of the way, I am happy to announce our next film. So with this one, it's a genre of film I don't tend to watch very often, but I feel like it's important at Movie Club that this isn't just films that Sue would watch, that it actually is able to fulfill needs and interests of everybody. So this week, we're going to be watching Facing the Giants. It is a PG film from 2006, a Christian-based film based off of high school football and everything sports. I don't know much about football. I don't know much about sports in general. My husband helps me a lot with that. And so I really hope that some of you out there who are fans of sports movies, feel free. Please enjoy this film. I really enjoyed it. Again, it's not always my cup of tea, but I'm always really interested in knowing what other genres of films are out there. It could ultimately surprise us. So if you're like me and not a super sports fan, I still really think that Facing the Giants has a lot of interesting theming and discussions that we can bring to the table as a community. So Facing the Giants is available streaming on Netflix, also available to rent in various different places, and being a part of that. So definitely be able to watch that. There are no real warnings in regards to this film. It's a Christian-based film. It's a faith-based film. So if you're watching with other people, just be aware of that. It is very football, and it is very Christian-based. It is been made by a Christian production company, and it is centered around the Christian experience. So that would be quite interesting for us who are a Christian group to be watching this kind of film. So feel free. I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for participating and being a part of this week's live stream. Enjoy Facing the Giants, and we'll see you next week.